So you got a clicking sound behind your dash. Oh yeah, friend, it could be just about any make and model of car. But you're dismayed because you turn on your heater or air conditioner and you hear this freakish rat-a-tat-tat. Well, come on, let's fix it. I'm wearing 6 pair of gloves and 14 pair of safety goggles. DeMille's behind the camera. Let's get started. First, you gotta understand what's wrong with your car's clicking dashboard. The way cold air comes from the air conditioner and hot air comes from the heater. And importantly, what makes the air flow to the right parts of the car. Behold, friend, this modern miracle is called an actuator. A blend door actuator to be precise. And when you choose hot or cold, this is what makes the air come from the right place. You'll catch my drift in a minute. Now today we're working on the Mustang I bought for Margie, the modern divorce woman next door. But every make and model of car has actuators of one type or another. Just pop out your glove box and look up under the dash. You'll see a few. You see that device up there with the red connector on it? That's an actuator. There's several behind your dash, and when they can't move right, they click. Now, before you go barreling down to AutoZone, Napa, Advance, O'Reilly, or any other supplier that might be willing to grease me for mentioning their name, I'm going to show you the trick to finding the bad one. But don't just start replacing it. Look at this. It's important. See, when you switch your settings, this ribbed shaft turns, and it opens and closes a little flap inside your ductwork, like a little door. When the actuator's removed, you should jimmy a screwdriver, preferably a plastic pry tool, into that socket to make sure the door's turning freely. If this is jammed, you see, then that means something fell down inside your vent, and you got to remove that obstruction. Now, Helen dropped her switchblade down in the vent once. It was a bugger to get out. And while we're here, it's critical to take a look at the shape of this receiving shaft. Remember that to save yourself a lot of heartache later. I want you to always use your powers of observation, friend. You can even snap a fancy Polaroid to help you memorize the position of things. I mean, there's no excuses in this modern world of technology we live in. Now, here's an actuator I removed, and it's still plugged in, but let's do a test by turning on the accessories, see what happens here. It's turning. Oh. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? I'm going to show you what troubleshooting's all about so you don't get yourself in a pickle. Now, climate's in the off position, and she's turning. Watch her with me. I'll show you what to look for. Yep. Let's go to max AC. Because I got a feeling. Now you see, she's shimmying. That's the kind of confirmation you're looking for. Can you imagine why that might be making an annoying click? Listen. But before you convince yourself it's busticated, understand that it's searching, okay? It's trying to calibrate itself. Inside this actuator, 2 power leads go to the motor to give it juice. I'm sorry, I'm not concentrating. Let me open it up so you can take a peek here.
You're not doing anything stupid, are you?
No. Go back to bed, Helen. I'm making a video.
Oh, whatever.
So inside here, you got power that comes from that red connector. Now, the positive and negative connectors extend over here to make contact with this motor, which drives this worm gear. And you'll see a lot of white grease in here. That's normal. So this worm gear steps its way up through a series of other gears to this output gear shaft, which, if you look on the other side, has teeth missing, like my pool hall buddy Leatherfoot Escalante. And remember, friend, the receiver has teeth missing too. Well, what do you know? That's how you know you're installing it right. Now, this gear should not have a missing tooth like Margie's does here. And there's a way, if you don't want to buy a whole new unit, you could just buy a replacement gear for some of these actuators. I'll make sure I put a link in the description. And importantly, these other electrical pathways are for the tracking circuit, what goes to your output gear shaft. And if that shaft can't do its job, if it starts, hunting like this one was, it can send feedback to your heater and AC controls, and even lock out your temperature control. Some of you might have had that problem. So it could be bad contacts in there, a shaft that's hunting, or maybe you got some missing teeth that are grinding against each other. I like taking things apart to see how they work. How about you? Leave me a comment in the section below and tell me about the craziest thing you ever took apart. Now, maybe you're worried that your worm gear motor is burned out. The squirrel wants to see if it passes a sniff test. To verify things, let's hook it to this spare battery I found on Helen's bedside table. Do you see that worm gear spinning? If your motor works and your flap works, well, what gives? All right, here's the secret. If the vent door is good, then replacing the actuator is a solution. Tracking down the sound can be a little bit tricky, but I got a service secret for that. Hit it, DeMille. With the car off, unplug the actuator you suspect is making the noise. Now turn the car to accessory mode. There's no need to start it. This'll work. Listen for the click. If it stopped, you found the broken one. If not, turn off the key, unplug another actuator, and repeat this sequence. It's your basic process of elimination. It's simple, yet elegant. Removing these is a little tricky because you're in a tight space, but I just used my grippy gloves. Actually, I loosened the bolts by hand. If you're just a typical mortal, 5/16 inch socket will do the trick for you. So buy your new actuator for about $20. I got all sorts of links to great deals in the description below. Do your diagnosis and then install her with patience because you'll be in a tight space. And enjoy a luxurious click-free drive. Look, I know my answers ain't short, but I want you to understand how and why things work. And think for yourself. If this helps you do that, drop me a line in the comments section below. Also, keep in mind I always need stogies, manly refreshments, and maybe one of them fancy tripod things for DeMille. So support my channel by visiting our Teespring store. There's a link beneath every video. This is Merv himself. I'll see you next time. Merv's Service Secrets is an ongoing DIY adventure. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications to get updates on every chapter in our story.